Welcome to the Gnarly Girls podcast.
What's up, gnarly beings?
This is a loose-lipped, unfiltered, raw-dogging, stripping down of culture.
No fucks, no panties. This is a labia of love.
We're your hosts, Tony Naj
and Serafina Supernova. And this is Gnarly Girls.
You ready to talk about this?
I've never been more ready.
All right, today's episode, we're going to talk about orgasms, specifically the female orgasm.
Gasms for girls.
Gasms for girls. So let's begin by talking about our own personal relationship to the orgasm, shall we? You want to go first or second?
No, I'll go second.
Okay, so I was an early adopter to sex. I started early. I started at 14, and I had a lot of boyfriends, and then I was always cheating on my boyfriends. So there was just like a lot of dicks around me, a lot of dicks being offered to me, a lot of fingers wanting to go inside of me. So for me personally, considering every weekend of my life was filled with either dicks or fingers, I was not interested in masturbating. There was enough stimulation happening. Not interested. So that didn't even start until my 20s. Because of the amount of dicks.
Impressive.
Did not start. So I guess my first orgasm was with another person. And I think I was about 18. And it was with a guy. It was with a dude, yeah.
Was he your B-friend?
He was my B-friend. But it's interesting I had a bunch of sex before I had an orgasm. That's for sure. And I didn't know what an orgasm was because I never had one alone. So I didn't know what I was missing, nor did I know what they were.
What was your first orgasm like? Like, what was do you remember?
I remember where I was, and I remember someone else was in the room, because you know when you're a teenager you have sex with people while someone else is like in the room sleeping on a couch?
Yeah.
So I remember, I think I like woke up my friend and I was like, yo, I just had an orgasm. And she was like, I heard.
Good friend.
Because she was just not asleep on the couch.
You're like, accidental orgy.
She was just not sleeping on the couch. Like pretty close to us, I guess.
Yeah.
But I have no memory of it. I remember telling her, but I don't remember it at all. I have no recollection. Mm-hmm. So what about you?
So I did not have sex until I was raped. Not to brag. Trigger warning. I feel like I've already told this.
Retroactive trigger warning.
Yeah. I feel like I've already told this story on the pod, but like, we'll tell it again. My college ex-boyfriend, I was in high school, he was in college. His bestie drugged me at a frat party during beer pong via Franzia wine. And I was roofied, and then I was fucked for the first time. So that was quite the imprint, and then
had you masturbated yet? Had you had an orgasm? Nothing?
No.
Okay.
No, like I think at that time,
have you been fingered?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the first time I was fingered was a spiritual experience. And that he was a dear good ex-boyfriend, you know. I think now he probably thinks I'm nutso butso because he is kind of like Trumpy and you know whatever.
Nutso butso.
Yeah. No, he definitely thinks I'm a little nuts. Like I reached out to him when I was in grad school, like 15 years after we had dated, and I like apologized for something, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, he thinks I'm crazy." But great fingering in the doorway of my Jack and Jill bathroom with my little brother. My little brother was not there. LOL. It was like I was like up on the door frame, and he just like had the fingers inside, and I was like, this is an option. Like I remember being like, wow, the experience of this sensation is an option, and I do want to experience this again. And I was kind of like a fingering hound. Like anytime I could plot my little badge on a finger and just go to town, like that was a preferred experience for me. Because I had a purity ring and my family was Christian and sex was like so off the table and I had so much shame around it. I was like, I'm not having sex until marriage, until I was raped, LOL.
I'm not sure it's actually LOL, but we all process traumas in our own way.
Yeah, we do. This is a comedy podcast, so
and to make it comedy, we just say LOL.
Yeah, that's all we do. I am a millennial, and I'm not an elder millennial, for those who may be confused. I am on the younger side of millennial. I'm actually closer to Gen Z than millennial. This is important information.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I love to be finger banged, never had an orgasm, truly didn't know that was an option. I didn't know that orgasm was an option. I didn't think that women had orgasms. I thought that coming was only for men. No, this is why I'm trying to like, I don't want to repeat myself too much on this podcast, but the true like religious steeping that I was inside of was like, no sex until marriage. The female orgasm, it not only does it not exist, nobody's even talking, like it wasn't even in my psychology as like this is a potential option. Like one day as a woman I can come. It was like one day as a woman I'll be married to a man and then we'll have sex and I'll have a baby. But it wasn't like sex wasn't equal to pleasure. My family wasn't about that. It wasn't the codes I was given, whatever. So, but finger banging was great. Loved sucking a good dick. Anything I could do to get around P and V penetration that was sexual, I was interested in. Which is why I've sucked so many nameless dicks. Which is why so many nameless fingers have been inside of me. Like I've truly hooked up with so many people in my day. But never the P and V and never an orgasm. So I get raped, and then some other grapey shit happens. And then I start dating my then boyfriend, now husband. And it's like a couple years into our relationship. We're fucking, but I'm still not having an orgasm. So I'm at like 23 at this point.
Okay.
And I start to be like, I'm befriending women who I'm in grad school with. They're like 10 years older than me. And they're like, what the fuck? Why aren't you coming? This is crazy. You can't make work about rape and not be orgasming. Like, goddess bless, honestly, this one woman in my cohort named B, she was like an artist and mathematician, and this woman was committed to me having an orgasm. She was like, you're going to Adam and Eve, you're getting a vibrator. I got the rotating rabbit 7000. I don't know if that was the number, but it was called the rotating rabbit. I walked my little butt into the Adam and Eve. And like when I would lose my charger, because I lose everything, she'd be like, borrow my charger, like get the same vibrator as me, so if and when you need a charger, I can be your charger buddy. So I'm like using this vibrator. There's like a couple days in a row where I'm like feeling myself like rise to like what I sense may be an orgasm, and I would get like really hot, like almost feverish in the process of trying to like let the orgasm happen. And then finally it happened, and I did feel like I was going to die, like in the process of it happening. Because you know, like, I mean, maybe this is an experience, I haven't really talked to anyone about this, so I don't know if you know, I don't know if anyone knows, but that experience of like rising into the orgasm where like the heat rises and the energy rises and it's like the true climax, and it's like, do you let yourself go over the mountain? Do you let the little man in the canoe like go over the waterfall, and does it happen, or do you like stop yourself? And I kept stopping myself. So it really took a lot of like spiritual meditation to let myself open up to it. And then I was just like vibrator city for years until recently.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to the inspiration for this podcast.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, this idea of like the female orgasm as being very elusive and complicated, because that's something I talk a lot about in my comedy and hasn't been my life experience. So I'm not saying that females don't experience an elusive, complex orgasm. I know that they do. I've witnessed it. The statistics prove it. But I guess I want to say that it doesn't have to be elusive or mysterious because I am a come quick Sally. I truly am the fastest masturbator this side east of the Mississippi. I can orgasm within 15. Truly, I was once texting my friend Bridget. We were texting, like having a text conversation. And I remember I said, okay, yada yada, good night. And it was 12 o'clock. And I put my phone down and I masturbated. And then I texted her at 12:01 and said, I just masturbated. True story. We laughed so hard. So I also know that, like,
Wait, what were you guys talking about? Was
no,
there
nothing.
So
I
you
think-
went from like text friend mode to master. Were you thinking about anything?
No.
So it's
Okay,
not.
this is the
yeah.
other
We need
thing.
to talk about this because my orgasms are. I am complicated, and my orgasms are psychological. And I don't think it's just the grape. I think it is the early childhood sexual abuse.
So for me, I think about nothing. I'm like the George Costanza of orgasms. It's a show about nothing. It's just, if nothing can come into my head, if a person comes into my head, I'm like, get the hell out of here.
Wow.
You ruined this for me.
Such a different experience.
No person, no storyline, no thoughts. I empty out the mind completely and only connect to the body. But if a person tries to come into my mind, it's upsetting.
I'm
Never
like-
a person.
I'm like, get on in here. What you want to do?
So you think of people.
Well, I pluck them from the quantum field. I use my psychicness to be like, ooh, who's been fantasizing about me? And can I use that energy back on them? And can we make a little magic in the quantum? No, I am fucking in the quantum constantly.
You're
I also-
bringing in people you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like a rotating cast of characters. It's usually also because consent, like it's very psychic for me. Like I have to connect to the person's higher self and make sure that it's okay.
Oh
Like
my
I do
God.
that. No, genuinely. Like this, I'm not just saying this to sound cute on the podcast. This is the psychosis that I live in all the time. Like I truly will be like, la, 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 and then I'll be like, my beep boop pop, connecting to someone's higher self and be like, is this okay? And then we'll do a little la la la.
Has anyone ever said no?
No, I mean, have you seen me? Have you met me? Also, I do use porn. And I do use storylines. We've not talked about this? Oh, I love porn.
Oh, wow.
I'm borderline ready to become a porn star. Like if the right opportunity presented
Interesting.
itself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
No,
you
I love
watch
porn.
Wow.
Yeah. Big box porn, small box porn, like love porn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But this also, my porn isn't like, I'm not watching hetero porn. I'm not watching dicks go in vaginas. For me, porn is about exploring my queer identity. Like I watch a lot of gay porn, a lot of lesbian porn.
But wait, genuine gay porn or
Gen-
porno girl porn?
No, genuine. I mean, at least what I'm typing in, I'm like looking for
What
that.
is-
And
what
then
is
you
your
can always
search?
tell. You can always tell when like girls are actually bi or pan or truly lesbians. What's a search? Like 2 hot girls in the woods touching each other's tits. I don't know. That's just like
Wait, no,
off the
I want
dome.
a serious search.
No, that would be something I would search. Like
Two
I
hot
love watching.
girls in the woods touching each other's tits is a search.
For sure, I would search something like that. That's just an example of something specific I would search.
Okay.
But then, and I can't like recollect them right now. I'll honestly I shouldn't probably promote them unless I have a brand partnership. But there are some like queer, like small box porn websites out there that I have perused. Like I like to watch people fuck too. That's another thing.
So my first experience with porn, and I think we could probably do its own porn episode. I do not watch porn at all, and I think that's for 2 reasons. The first porn I ever saw, I was 14. Ironically, I had already had sex, and my friend and I got really stoned, and then we were hungry, so we got all this cake batter. And we brought the cake batter into the living room where I was not allowed to eat. The living room was off limits for eating, but we were high, and my friend had stolen this porno, a VHS tape from her friend's dad, okay? And it was called Flesh and Laces Part 2.
Wait, say that again.
Flesh and Laces,
Oh.
part 2. And we were very concerned we hadn't seen part 1. Because we were like, we're not going to understand the character development.
Also, laces as a plural word is
Well,
plural.
it was a porno from the 70s. It was old. It was an old VHS porno that this friend of her dad's, I guess, had, that she had stolen. So we have the cake batter. We're watching Flesh and Laces part 2. And I did not understand what penetration was. Even though I had already had sex, again, I was very stoned when I first had sex. So a lot of like these early years for me, I'm high, I'm stoned.
Right.
And the weed then was less regulated. You know what I mean? Like you can suddenly be like, what was that? So I'm watching this like the penis go in and out. And I turn to my friend and I'm like, why does he keep taking it out and putting it back in like that? Because I thought
You
sex
had soaked like a Mormon?
Yeah, I know we didn't, but I don't remember the sex. So what I had seen in the movies is I thought you just connected and then you just rolled around like back and forth, because in the movies they didn't thrust. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a lot of thrusting. So I thought there was just like an insertion and then hugging and then like kind of
You were
rolling back and
soaking.
forth.
You were soaking.
I was Mormon soaking in my understanding. And then I was like, why does he keep pulling it out and putting it back in? And she's like, that's what sex is. And I was like, interesting. I think I'd only had sex once at that point. So then my mom comes downstairs and we're like, shit. And we do get Flesh and Laces turned off and we're hiding. And she's like, girls, I can hear you breathing. And then she turns on the light and like, she's like, were you eating in here? And we were like, no. And she goes, are you sure you weren't eating in here? And I'm like, yeah. And then I turned to Biddy and she just has, my friend, she just had chocolate all over her mouth. And I had chocolate all over my mouth. We were, our faces covered in cake batter watching this porn. So like we did watch Flesh and Laces a couple times. There was like a gangbang scene. I don't know if I don't love that term.
It's the whole gay. It feels like white women shouldn't be using the
We're
word gay.
gang. Agreed.
That's my issue.
Agreed.
I don't feel offended. I feel that it is offensive.
I feel like it's offensive too.
It is.
So we watched, in this Flesh and Laces, there was like multiple men on one woman, which terrified me. The thought of that many penises and that much cum, I was just like, that was a living nightmare for me, personally. So we did watch Flesh and Laces a couple times that summer. I know I'm going on and on about this porno, but then we hid the movie in like a Disney movie container so my parents wouldn't see it, forgot about it. About 6 years later, my mom's like has house guests and she's like tells the children, go, there's so many Disney movies. And of course they put on Flesh and Laces part 2. That's a real story. So
I mean, very fun that you guys had just cake batter on your mouths and you
No,
were
that-
watching porn. That is
porno.
feminist.
that was okay, but I think like the multiple men on one woman, it left an upsetting imprint. And then I wasn't interested in porn. And then again, 19 years old, 18 years old, super high. I had a roommate who worked at a porno store, and he would bring porno home with him. He would steal pornos and sell the pornos. So he was robbing the store and then selling them. But we would get high, all of us, and like watch these, and they were just like super violent, like 2 dicks, 1 butt, 2 dicks, 1 bag.
I'm definitely not Googling this.
So I have a friend who has a fantasy of 5 men, like so
Specifically?
face, yeah, boob, vag, butt.
I mean, vag, butt, and mouth at the same time, but one of them could be a dildo. It's preferably the one in the mouth. Preferably
You
the
would
one
blow
in
a
the butt.
dildo. You would blow a dildo.
No, but it's not about that. It's not about the blowing. It's not about who I'm giving pleasure to. What I do know on the somatic level is the bearing down and the biting down. And sometimes I will do this when I'm masturbating. Like I'll just really specifically nasal breathe. Like if you have something pressing on the tongue, it connects to your fucking clit because there's like meridian energy. So if you're like sucking on something and then you're like coming and you're only breathing through your nose, you're getting more oxygen to the brain and the clit is getting more, you know? So it's not about, I'm like, oh, I want a dick that tastes like a ham sandwich in my mouth that turns me on. It's like I want something to bear down on. But it's complicated. I think it's complicated to be a woman who's been sexually abused and taken advantage of with chronic codependency to give pleasure from a truly like authentic place that isn't like I have to do this or else. That isn't consequential. Right?
Yeah, because this is, I think, where the female orgasm needs to be discussed, because in relationships and in marriages, there's a financial aspect that exists. There's a power dynamic that can exist because of that financial aspect. There's a security aspect that can be presented. So if you have a financial dynamic with your male partner where he is providing, does that leave the door open for you to prioritize your pleasure as much or if not more than his? And I think that is very real. And I think that like a lot of women do not orgasm when having sex with men. A lot. 20% of women orgasm when having sex with men. I am one of those women. I could truly fuck a corpse. And I could have an orgasm. However, I have never had a man financially support me. I've never needed a man's money. I've never needed to rely on a man for anything. So I have to ask myself, you know, if from within this like capitalist structure that exists, because I've never cared. I mean, like, okay, my obligation to a blue ball situation, you know, like you start sex, you come, what do you owe the man to come? So, because I'm the come first. I always come first. And then I'm like, well, now he must come. So I have felt that like I came, you came thing.
Yeah.
But I do wonder a lot about, you know, my relationship and my commitment to my own pleasure and this financial freedom has to be connected. I'm not saying it's the only thing. I'm saying it's part of it. Because so many women aren't coming with men.
I mean, I think it's interesting because I've been in different dynamics financially with men who I've been sexually intimate with. And I think even before that was on the table for me, the early childhood sexual abuse, like, was the original imprint that had nothing. I mean, I guess you could say it had to do with money because it was a family member who was way older and way more resourced, right? Like a fucking 3-year-old and like a 35-year-old. That's complicated. So that is definitely an OG imprint. And then like watching my mom really financially struggle and like be in poverty as
I mean in your life relationships, when you are dependent on someone, that is going to impact your sex life.
Of course.
Period.
Yeah.
And that is where like I think they're like the marriage and prostitution become commingled.
Yeah. Well, and I think also when you have the early imprints of trauma connected to your sexuality, that dependence, it's like the security that pre-exists the money aspect of the root chakra. It's like the security and like basic needs that come before the money. Like if that is raptured and erupted, then every other power dynamic is going to be like based on that imprint.
Right, because money is representative.
Right.
It's not about money. It's about capitalism, money, what it represents is security.
But even when
safety.
I was making more money than my husband now, I was still like my orgasm, it wasn't there. Like it was really, I cannot even explain how I truly feel like I had to go through like multiple days of almost having a fever to like get over that, like that mountain. It was like pleasure itself felt unsafe. Like it almost felt like I could feel in my brain where the wires were crossing between pleasure and pain, which is where I also think like I'm a kinky bitch. Like put me in a dungeon, BDSM me up. Like my pain tolerance is very high. Like, I can be spanked until my ass cheek's about to fall off. And, like, that, I will, like, literally feel my pussy getting wetter as I'm being, like, physically hit. You know?
Yeah.
So, that's real for me. That's real for me, and I think it just gets more complicated, especially for people in marriages, especially for people in hetero or hetero-presenting relationships where a male partner is making more money. I think that is super relatable to a shit ton of people.
Because it's like
even if the woman is successful, even if she's making 150 grand, if he's making 600, there's still something there.
There's a dynamic at play. And I think when I talk about like the idea of prostitution within a marriage, it's because there is this obligation and an exchange of body for money and body for security and body for safety. It's like, well, if I don't give my husband or my partner my body when he wants access to it, is that going to impact all these other things? And I think this is why in this like current men's rights activist movement, I think the return to wanting women to like not work, or the quote unquote traditional dynamic, is around sexual domination and sexual ownership. Because we are entering into a paradigm where I think a lot of women have thought more about consent. A lot of women have thought more about, do I really want to do this? And I think that is going to affect one's orgasm, is obligation sex.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time.
Yeah.
Obligation sex happens constantly. It's like you don't want to, but like you don't want him to pout. You don't want his feelings to get hurt. You don't want him to like get salty or whatever. So it's like, oh, we've already had sex hundreds of times, I'll just do it again. That is a recipe, that like psychological recipe, I think is going to impact like the relationship to the orgasm, because you're abandoning your own desire in order to placate someone. And it is like you have to have pretty open communication and security to be like, hey, my body does not feel like sex right now. I'm not interested. I'll hit you up when I am, you know? And like, I think that when I think about like orgasm and pleasure, there has to be a certain amount of like relationship to your own autonomy that you don't owe your body to anyone. And I think within it, so like there is a feminist, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but I think it's an interesting thought experiment. I think she was a lesbian too, so it's a little bit like of an unfair thought experiment, because she's not interested in having sex with men. I think it would be a little bit more authentic of a thought experiment is if she like only wanted to have sex with men. But she was saying, I wish I remembered her name, but I don't, so I apologize to her. But she said that no male-female sex is consensual within a patriarchy, because there's always the power dynamic of the patriarchy, so that it just cannot fundamentally be consensual.
I agree with this. As someone who wants to fuck men and women and theys and gays, I resonate with that. And I think that both partners have to be actively divesting. And I think men, especially spiritual men who think that they've divested,
yeah.
No. Also, like, something I've witnessed my female friends go through, and some of whom, you know, in the last like 10 years have had to reconcile with their own like relationship to feminism, like not resonating with feminism or the word feminist, thinking it's a dirty word, kind of being like, that's not my brand, whatever, like yes to women's rights, but like I'm not a feminist. I've literally watched them become feminists in direct relationship to not only what's occurred politically, but also as they've like matured in their relationships with men through their 20s and early 30s, and the amount of times a man has brought up to them their needs. Like the man is like, my needs, my desire, my needs. Like it's like they're gonna fucking die if they don't get their dick wet in the way that they want. And I just like, I don't think that women do that in the same way. I'm not saying they can't be perpetrators. I'm not saying they can't be manipulative. I'm not saying they can't, use their needs as whatever, like as bait to blah-de-blah. But I do think that men do that more in terms of like, if my needs aren't met, I am gonna die. Like if my dick doesn't get wet in the way that I want it to right now by you, like this is like the ultimatum energy that men come through with.
Yes, and I do think that has to do with what we're talking about, patriarchy, power, capitalism. And this is why women having, I mean, it's interesting that you said that when you were financially more flush, you didn't feel a difference.
No.
But maybe that's because that was only a period of time. I mean, you'd have to investigate that. If that was just like your consistent paradigm. Because
my paradigm has been like this. The consistent through line has been like my own right to my own pleasure, and my pleasure being like mine. Like it doesn't belong, like my body doesn't belong to anyone and my pleasure doesn't belong to anyone, which sounds so simple and dumb. But at the true feeling of it, somatically, it's actually not that simple. Like that I'm not here to be used, that I'm not here to be filled in and like plugged into and like siphoned off of. Like that is my original code. Like truly, trigger warning, truly for this one, imagine being a literal toddler, and from the time you are a toddler to the time you go through puberty, like there's not only like a family member around that like is trying to like fuck you and is actively touching you, but there's like other men around who are like, I mean, maybe you do have a semblance of this experience, but that is like so deeply inside of me that I am meant to be used for people's pleasure, for people's satisfaction, to be plugged into. And I had to really stop identifying as a victim of my life in order to overcome that and like have new identities, have a new personality, thoughts, habits, patterns, because it wasn't just like my personality and my like identity that was the thing that was conflating my relationships. It was also my habits, like how I would show up on a daily basis, like the way that I would be micro abandoning myself in all of these small moments, and then the way that would turn into these larger self-abandonment.
Okay, well, I think like you're bringing up a specific circumstance that happened to you that some people can relate to and some people can't. And that how that like shaped your relationship to your body. But I think that most women have been sexualized as a child.
Right.
So to what extreme that is, you know, a spectrum. But I mean, I definitely remember being sexualized as a child by family members, by strangers, getting jerked off to on subways, et cetera, et cetera. And so when you see your body as something that's like inviting this kind of scary adult male energy, then your body isn't safe, your pleasure isn't safe. And I think I have another friend who has orgasms alone, but like does not have them with men. And she was saying how it's like she doesn't want to give them that power. She's like, that's for me. I don't want to give them that power. And she's also someone who like experienced some like sexual misconduct as a child. So there is also, I think, this trust that has to happen with a partner, with a male partner specifically, especially if you were assaulted by a male or you're assaulted by male energy. You have to have an immense amount of trust in order to feel comfortable revealing the vulnerability of that pleasure with that guy, with any man. Because I keep just thinking about like, why is it so simple for me? It's so I'm using myself as an example purely because from an anatomical standpoint, it is possible.
Yeah.
It is very possible.
No, and hearing about, I just have to say this, and we can go more into this, but hearing about Tony's orgasms, talking to Tony about rape culture for the last year and a half, almost 2 years nonstop, and like, I mean, the amount of times we've talked about getting off and orgasms and like the way you do it and how it is for you. Like I have the imprint, and now I've literally started using some of her techniques, and boy, I gotta tell you.
No, yeah, we have to talk.
The techniques are good.
Let's talk about the impetus for this podcast.
And then I have something else to say.
Go back to what you have to say, and then we'll go to the impetus.
Yes, to the trust thing, I feel like, so okay. what I want to say is, there's this one kink that I have that Max, my husband, is the only person in the entire world that knows about it. And like, I can relate to this, like my orgasm.
Wait, are you gonna tell us the kink?
Absolutely fucking not.
Oh wait, you can't.
No, but I'll tell you enough that it'll be worth it.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, that is highly paid content. That's like, even if I had an OnlyFans, like that wouldn't even, no way. No, this is like my most precious. I must have a part of myself that is so private and deep within my mermaid Capricorn cave that nobody can touch and reach unless they've really earned it. And I don't think I even revealed this to Max until like maybe, I'm having some sweet memories. This was around the time when I was in grad school making work about rape and getting a vibrator at the same time. Again, shout out to my friend B, where I was like having orgasms and I started to reveal to him like this kink. And then it started to like work its way into our sex life. And so like we'll fuck, we'll have great sex, he'll come, and then our pattern has been, then I like grab my vibrator and we're like, then it's all about me, which is like a fun moment. And like the sweetness with which I've shared this with him, and he will almost become this like somatic practitioner / narrator to like help bring me to the river of the coming.
Aww.
Like I may still struggle with coming with a dick inside of me because I think that is the rape.
Yeah.
I think that when you're raped so intensely that you bleed everywhere, that it is not safe. And he's told me, like, when he's been inside of me, he can like feel certain things, and we've had to like breathe and move through like certain blocks in the vaginal canal, like we're like on an expedition, you know. And he's got like his rain hat and we've got a flashlight and we're like, why is it so rough and tight in that spot? We're just gonna inhale and exhale together. Like, I do think I owe him that praise publicly on this podcast. But like, I do love a story, and a story pertaining to this kink, and like he's a very good narrator, so he'll just like get right up in my ear and like tell me this like sexy little story while like I'm masturbating and he's like sort of helping me. And the way that I have like psychedelically come my face off in that experience. So like, for anyone out there who's like, yeah, I want to come with a male partner, but I don't know if I can do it with his dick inside of me. His finger could be inside of you and your finger could be on your clit. He could be whispering and kissing in your ear. He could be on your tit while you're on your clit. Like, there's so many options for coming with a male partner that aren't exactly his dick inside of you while you on top of it.
Yeah.
I'm working towards that experience. Like, I will admit in full truth on this podcast that is really hard for me. It's really hard for me.
Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell the impetus for this podcast?
Yeah. So I've been a vibrator queen for years, as I've talked about, and it's just really not sustainable because I also have ADHD, so I'm always losing the charger. And I just, you know, for an orgasm to be dependent on a device is also a little too like robot-y for me. No shame. Like, I for years have been like, anyway, you need to come is the way you need to come, and I've been like, oh, I wish I could come without a vibrator, and I've had like sex activists be like, don't say that to yourself, don't shame yourself, a vibrator is fine. So like, I just peeked the mic. Don't say that to yourself, don't shame yourself, a vibrator is fine. Which I do agree with. I'm like, yes, to each their own. But I personally was like, I lost my vibrator charger again. It's been gone for weeks. And I was like, I have to come. Like, I'm losing my mind. Like, I must release this energy. You know, when you start to get like, you just like tip over the edge of manic, and no pill, no drug, no amount of sleep. It is only an orgasm that will regulate you back to normal. Like, you have too many hormones and it just has to happen. So Tony's been telling me about 2 techniques of hers that I decided to try for myself.
Yeah, we'll save the techniques because we're going to put them in the Patreon.
Okay, great. Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've tried these techniques right here on this air mattress for the last 3 nights, and I'm going to tell you...
3 for 3?
3 for 3, baby. It's 3 for 3.
Sick.
I mean, again, I've gone on and on about my trauma. I mean, how insufferable am I in this podcast episode? But I think I had to say all of that because I am simultaneously judging myself as we're recording this. If you think anything other is happening, you're out of your mind.
Well, it's interesting because it's like, I think that if we were to present this podcast as the orgasm episode, people would be like, oh, this is going to be hot. And then it's not.
No, it's not. Because it's not, it's not.
But are orgasms hot? Maybe not.
I kind of feel like they're not.
I think they're very intimate.
Yeah, because you're kind of like, you're like really.
Wait, if you're just listening to this, for the love of goddess, please go to the YouTube and just watch what Sarah did at that exact time code, because the visual of what she is doing.
You just really have to be, I don't know about you. I mean, not that my legs have to be closed, but you're making shapes that are like,
oh,
and my face. Max has commented on my orgasm face. Like, he's actively laughed as I've been coming. And that has been, it's slightly traumatizing, but fine.
It's interesting, like, I do want to talk about the straight legs for a second.
Right.
The straight,
like the deer that's just been hit by the car. You're just
a rigor mortis that happens. Oh, I'm just so stiff.
The rigor mortis of the orgasm is.
I want to talk about that.
I feel like we also didn't talk enough about the fact that this has happened 3 times on this air
bed.
mattress.
Sheets are not clean.
No,
absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Wait. So Sarah, you've had these vibratorless orgasms thanks to my technique, which will be available to you on the Patreon.
No, I'm like, why
no
is this
joke.
so good?
Yeah, no joke. It's going to be on the page. So what was it? I guess something I wanted to.
Mortis.
Oh yeah. It's like the. I do want to talk about the squirting. Let's return to Sarah's squirting because
it's impressive.
It's impressive. It's interesting. It should be talked about. But I want to talk about the rigor mortis, okay? Because I do think there's a thing that, and I'm just encouraging a way of thinking about orgasm as like a method of opening up, okay?
Uh-huh.
So there is this way in which I think that like we pull up like a straw and we get like very tight, and there's like a pulling in that happens and the legs get really stiff and straight, and it's like you feel the orgasm coming and then you become like a stiff board, like a boner almost, a full body boner.
Because the clit is...
that word, this is why I use the terminology little man in the canoe. Shout out to my mom, Holly, for that, for that gem.
Do you like cock?
Cock is fine. Cock. I'm more of a dick.
I like a cock.
Cock is I'm not.
I don't mind a clit.
Listen, I hate that word. Obsessed me.
Okay.
But the little man in the canoe. I mean, I need a better word for it. I need something. But
yeah, the fact that you're putting a man there is off-brand.
No, my mom was the one who gave me the terminology
funny.
little man in the canoe when I was a child, and it really does look like a little man in a canoe.
That's impressive that she's like, how old?
How old was I?
When she told you that.
It's an early childhood memory.
That's so sweet. I'm just like, I'm jealous, frankly.
A little man in a canoe, but she wasn't like, this is your pleasure center. It was just like the anatomy. I was like, do I have a dick?
Yeah.
I think every little girl wonders that at one point.
Never wondered that.
Never wondered if you had a dick.
Yeah.
Well, because you did have a brother though.
Yeah.
You see your brother's dick?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, because I like babysat him.
I think I saw my brother's.
Well, he was older. Your brother.
My brother's.
So
dick.
I had a baby brother with baby dick. You had big brother with big dick.
Bigger dick. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
upsetting.
I hate that you just said that.
The fact that
I almost just actually puked.
We have to see our siblings naked is the worst part of childhood.
Yeah.
Why do we do that to each other? Nudity is upsetting to me. Okay, but a lot of people
I
like
don't feel
it.
the same.
No, a lot of people like it.
No, I'm naked's fine to me.
Okay, but I guess I wanted to talk about the.
You're naked doing this podcast.
We should have been naked.
I mean, this is basically what.
Because we could have just put blurs, but every time we moved, I'd have to animate the blur, and it would be a lot of work. It'd be a lot of work post-production. But I do think that like an orgasm is also like birth, where there can be an opening up. And what I have been exploring is different positions of the masturbating where you are not pulling up, but instead you're opening out. And I think that like practice, especially if you're dealing with like somatic trauma stored in the body,
Yeah.
which so many of us are, present company included. Once I like the mastering of the internal like the straw rigor mortis orgasm, it became too easy. So I was like, we gotta up the ante.
Expand into it.
Yeah, and there's a different, which I'll also show in the Patreon, where you can really blossom out into it, and it's actually a relaxing versus a pulling in. And I think that goes, the reason why I mention it is the vulnerability of orgasming with a partner is how relaxed you have to be,
right?
How much trust there has to be. But again, which is so bizarro, because I've orgasmed with so many strange men who then who had the misconception that they were suddenly great at sex because they're like, I made her come. And I guess this is my point. Nobody makes me come. I make me come.
Yeah.
I don't think other people make you come. That's the point. You make you come.
Yeah.
So yes, someone may be doing something to you, but you are the architect of your own come. Nobody does it for you. And I think that as a perception shift is interesting. They are in your presence, you're together, but they don't make you do anything. Just like, you're making me mad. It's like, no, that's putting everything on the other person. Another person's behavior can ignite anger in you, but you're making you mad. You're observing their behavior, and anger is coming from within you. Or, you're making me cry. No, you are making yourself cry by observing this person's behavior or whatever feelings that's coming up because of their behavior. Same thing with orgasm. I think it's radical and revolutionary for all people, all genders, whatever, not just women, but to just say, this is mine. This has always been mine. It's something I give to myself. And sometimes there's a partner there, sometimes there's not. And I think that kind of takes it off of the other person.
Yes, I agree. And I'm also just thinking about like how psychologically complicated sex is, because like when my husband will be like, oh, are you gonna come for me? Like, I do kind of like that, but I know that I'm coming for me. But my specific like kink shit is like I like to be called a slut. I like to be called a whore. I like to be asked to come for someone. I love a daddy, you know? Like I've got some.
But he's not saying, are you going to come because of me?
No, it's more like for me.
Yeah.
And like,
that's different. He's
know?
not saying you are coming because of me and
no,
only
totally.
me.
No, totally. I'm just like, it's so interesting how like you can't intellectualize your way out of the psychological kink factory, you know? Like, it's just, for me at least, there's so many like oppositional forces and like conflicts and like taboo. Like, I think my orgasms and my sexual experience, like, it's very mental, it's very like there's a lot happening up here that I'm like bringing into here, you know?
It's so funny how it's blank. I got a blank space, babe.
No, and I'm like literally like fucking Michelangelo on the like 16th chapel ceiling.
I think more people are like you than me.
I don't know.
Yeah, survey.
Yeah.
Leave a comment. Are you mentally complex, or are you like a simple Sam?
No, I need a lot of stimulation.
Let's talk about the squirting. Tell us about it.
Okay, so when was the first time? I don't remember the first time that I squirted. But it did happen pretty early on for me.
Whoa.
Yeah, in my orgasm. I think I had so much to release at that point. Because like I said, like I may have...
So it happens with the vibrator?
Well, I don't know yet.
But has it only happened so far with the vibrator?
It's only happened so far with the vibrator.
Okay.
Yeah. And my preferred vibrator is the Magic Wand rechargeable.
Is it, but truly, is it pee?
Is it pee? No, it's not.
It's not pee.
No, it's definitely not pee. 100%. You can smell it. It smells like, I mean, not to brag, but mine smells kind of sweet. I eat a lot of really good food. I don't know. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Urine has a smell. It's yellow.
Wait, what is it?
No, urine. No, it's more like it's not like milky like men's cum. It's more like.
Is it like breast milk?
It's like, you know when you get like a dairy-free milk and like you pour it in and it's kind of clear?
Yeah.
And it has like milk part in it.
It's like an oat milk.
Yeah.
It's like an oat milk with no filler.
Yeah, I have tasted breast milk. Not to brag.
Whose?
I'm not gonna reveal that.
Off of a titty?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, I've done some wild things.
Wait, you sucked a woman's titty who was feeding?
No, I just would take a little taste. I was just curious.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't really breastfed. So
Yeah,
here's the thing.
it's like
my
the amount-
childhood trauma, dude.
It's like the amount of people are fucked, and then like I hear some of the things you come up with, and I'm like, I am boring. I'm just a boring slut. I fuck many people.
I feel like
boring
you.
way.
I feel like you were hot and popular in a way that I was not. So I had to get more creative. I had to get more creative. I wasn't cool. I wasn't popular. I was a theater freak. I was a nerd.
And I was just like, I think you're right then in the sense that I was like, you are blessed.
Yeah. No,
You
that
are
was
blessed
not
to have
my.
access.
I was like, I hate myself, and I am a freak. That's what I mean about the like early imprint and then having to like have a whole new personality. I mean, especially, it's never ending.
Okay, so
the squirting.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I relate to that, like, rigor mortis to then leaning into the opening. For me, I think that the squirt comes from G-spot stimulation.
Okay.
So I think that, I'm not a sex educator, I'm not an expert, I don't know, this is just my experience of like that part of my like to me the G-spot feels like, you know how the sacrum is kind of like a little mouth at the bottom of the spine like this, and it can like open and expand and then close. My experience of feeling my own G-spot through my stomach, like especially if it's like being pressed on and like maybe there's penetration and then maybe something is happening to the clit, it's like that mouth of the G-spot opening and closing is like releasing Mount Rushmore.
So is something
Water.
inside
It's Mount
of you
Rushmore,
when
it's not
you
water, but it's but that
Mount Rushmore is dry as
the
fuck.
founding fathers are just I'm in Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. Wait, I'm sorry. When the squirting happens, is
Yeah.
something inside of you, or is it just the vibrator on top of you? Because I personally cannot use a vibrator because for me it's too quick.
No, I think I've squirted on Max's hand. I've squirted on my hand.
Like something is inside of you. Wait, so the vibrator
I
is
don't
going.
think every single time, because there could be, I like that I'm just literally simulating this. There could be just pressure from the outside, like on the G-spot through the belly. You know what I mean?
Someone
Like massaging
Interesting.
here. Like you can access the G-spot.
from above.
Yeah, from like it's like below the belly button but above the pubic bone. I can at least feel it. And it's like, it's connected to the pelvic floor. It's kind of like if you have to pee, like it's that same, like I feel like the G-spot is like I'm like we can you can Kegel your vulva, right? And your butthole, but then you can also Kegel this part, and it's not the core. It's like this little G-spot mouth.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no.
And then if someone's like pressing on that G-spot mouth, it's almost like I can, like it's like sucking dick for me. Like if I like have my mouth on that penis correctly and I feel that tongue meridian pushing, I can like connect to my own G-spot through that cock in my mouth. What can I say? I'm fantastic. What can I say? Yeah, no, I squirt. And it is upsetting when I've just changed the sheets, like, cause that also gets it for me. Like, I love to have, if I'm gonna have sex with someone else, if it's just me, I don't care. I could be like on a pile of dirt, like whatever. But if I'm gonna like be interacting with a partner, I'm gonna need the sheets to be clean. I need a candle lit. I need to create a container, or else it ends up leaving a traumatic imprint, or I just can't get into it. So then I'll like clean the sheets, I'll light the candle, and then it just squirt everywhere and I have to change the sheets again. Actually, last time it happened, I just slept on a towel because I was like, I
Why wouldn't you put the towel out before?
I didn't know I was gonna squirt.
Oh, because it just happens sometimes.
No, and it's also what I think opens up the squirting for me. I have squirted by myself. I think I have to be like really turned on in order for that to happen. But it's like the pounding. It's like the pounding to open it all up, right? Like I need a good doggy pounding from the back. Open it up, open it up, open it up. And then I feel like once there's like an opening, then it's like, it can come through.
Okay. Yeah.
You've never squirted?
No, the whole concept of it.
You do have to be okay with like, oh, it feels like I'm gonna pee, and then it's not that.
Yeah.
You have to, and that's where the trust comes in, right? You have to like be okay with like,
I'm not gonna pee.
yeah.
It hasn't even come up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've never felt on the press. I think so. This is the other thing that I wonder about myself is that because the orgasms are so easily accessible, I think it makes me a lot less kinky, and I think it makes me a lot less exploratory because I am like a teenage boy.
Yeah.
So like I don't. There doesn't have to be a lot of fanfare, and I think that when people like, I think the advantage of like being a little more complex is that you're going to try and experiment and do more things where
I'm just getting started.
Yeah, I'm just like I don't need to do any of that. And so I think that probably holds me back from a lot of experimenting because once it's like the first I can multiple come, but the first one's always the best, and I do understand that like
The first one's the best.
the first one is the best.
Oh.
It's like the first bite of cake is the best.
See, mine, I sometimes have to have 3 to like get the full one out.
Like 3 shockwaves.
Yeah.
Mine would start biggest and then shockwave down. So I think that's really, I think it's limited me in the certain sense that I'm selfish and I'm boring. I'm selfish and boring.
Yeah.
But the psychological... Yes. You're very selfish and boring. But that is it. But you do get to have sex with me, and that's exciting.
Not me. Not me.
I really rely on just the fact that you'll never know when you're going to get to. So when you get to, it's quite exciting.
Yeah, I think that there's like the G-spot, I'm very curious about the G-spot orgasm. I just want more information. I want to look into it anatomically. I want to understand what's happening because the way my higher self is showing it to me is like this little mouth, and then it finally opens, and then it's like, ah! And that's when like the deep one comes
and I
through.
think the major misconception around sex, which will be the hint that we will give, and then we will release a video where this is demonstrated to learn how to orgasm alone and orgasm with a male partner.
Yeah.
Well, we have 2 female and a female.
I can show you that.
Yeah. We'll show you the mechanics.
Yeah.
We'll show you the mechanics.
I feel like I do have a habit of saying things that like maybe sound a little but like I always feels important to clarify. I do care about men's pleasure. I do care about men's pleasure.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I have to say that I don't just to like satisfy that part of my multiple personalities. But I do, I hold baby precious men like a baby precious men in my arms and at my bosom. I do think we're doing a bit where Tony is good cop and I am bad cop.
But
I
think
men
that
on this podcast, in our show, in our art. So I must say that because I always am bad cop.
Because
I'm bad cop, squirting cop.
But I genuinely think, this was why I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely think you care a lot more about male pleasure than I do.
No, I care. I care.
And
it's because my Venus sign.
You have a Venus Pisces. Yeah. I have a Venus Aquarius, and I do think you do care.
I think I've been so burned.
There's no shame in caring.
No, I've cared so much but this is my codependency. I've cared so much about men's pleasure that I have abandoned myself so deeply, and that is so earth-shakingly upsetting.
Yeah.
that I then have to circle back and be like, okay, this is my opportunity to love myself more and to love men and to understand that my love for myself is not in conflict for my appreciation of men, and I am just constantly in that dance, and that is my spiritual practice. And no, like, all jokes aside, I do know that is my work.
And I think that your vulnerability of your Venus in Pisces and of caring and
I was
getting
raised
burnt.
by a Pisces.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But I think you've gotten burnt, and like because you've gotten burnt, because you've gotten hurt, and because you've gotten truly violated, this is a very normal, I think, your reaction of being like, fuck this.
Yeah,
is
it's like
normal.
it's like the inner teenager that's like, fuck that.
Yeah. But I'm glad you circled back to it
Always.
because we do want to circle back to the authenticity and the shame of fucking your oppressor. I am not sexually interested in women, which is my greatest shame.
I think, should be ashamed
I think
of
it would
that.
be totally on brand for me to be sexually interested in women. I think I could get into Sundance. Just kidding. But do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like that about myself. I tried. It wasn't for me. So
Maybe in your 50s.
It's not for me. It is not for me. And the exclusivity.
It's more work.
The exclusivity of
Fucking women's
which
more work.
I can only fuck men, I'm only interested in fucking men, is my shame. So we're not without our own shame.
Yeah.
I will only fuck a man. I'm only interested in a man's penis, even though I have zero interest in giving it pleasure, in blowing it, in doing anything to it, but using it as a pleasure wand for myself. The level of selfishness I am in bed is disturbing. But I think that is because I am so caring in life that if I'm going to be this caring in life, I'm going to be equally selfish in bed. And I think that balances out the cosmos. I think that is the birth of the singularity.
I think it's working for you.
It's working for me.
Yeah, wait, so if you see a penis, do you get turned on?
No.
See, that's so interesting because, like, I do, but I feel like I'm maybe less interested in penis than you, depending on the penis.
But if I feel one, because again, for me, nothing is visual.
Okay. So
Nothing
I'm very visual. This makes sense.
Yeah, I guess
very
I'm not visual, but if I'm holding it,
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Okay.
That is good.
You like it.
That is good. I like to hold it. I can hold one all day.
Wait, so you have tried to fuck a woman?
No, I did try. I
I think I've revealed too much information, and now you need to tell this story to even it out.
Okay, so it was a threesome situation on MDMA. I was young,
Yeah.
you know, so I was young, and I was not attracted to her. She was a friend. Her pubis smelled like pee.
Oh.
Upsetting.
Like her pubes?
Yeah, like when my mouth was there, I was like,
you ate her out?
yes.
Wow.
No, I am more giving. I mean, I've given blowjobs. I have given blowjobs.
Yeah, I feel like you're being facetious.
But I give very
too.
few. No, I give very few blowjobs. It is very hard to get a blowjob out of me.
Yeah,
very few.
I give a lot.
You'll get them in the beginning, and you'll get them on a birthday, and then it'll peter out, and then never again. You know, like, I'm just not a blowjobber.
Yeah.
But I also don't like to be eaten out. I'm not asking to be. I don't like oral sex.
I'm not a big oral girl.
I'm not a big. I like relate to the Christians who are like, that is. If God wanted you to put your mouth on it, He wouldn't have put it so close to your butt. Yeah, but you know, have you ever seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yeah.
When he says that, I was like, hard relate. And I don't even have it's not like the butthole. I have no problem with the butthole.
I mean, eating out on your first time is
No, I went there. No, but I was like trying to be a good citizen.
Yeah, you were.
You know, so I was like, oh, but also I was doing it for the wrong reason. I was doing it for the male gaze because it was a threesome. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if it was just me and her, would I have authentically done that? I don't think so. I think like the fact that the dude was there was also a part of it. I mean, I've kissed many girls.
Yeah.
I've kissed girls. I kissed a bunch of them. But like, I don't like feeling the breast of another.
Yeah, you're not Googling 2 girls in the woods touching tits.
No. I would Google 2 women chopping wood. Maybe. And then I would learn about wood chopping. I just like... So I do but I guess what I'm saying is that there is always a humiliation. There's always an embarrassment. I fuck my oppressor. I only want to fuck my oppressor. That's the end of the story. I can feel my own shame about that. But I do think that my selfishness is intimately tied to how giving I am in life. And then I also do wonder. I wonder about the capitalism. I will always wonder about the capitalism and the fact that I've never needed a man to support me. You know? I wonder if I would be giving more blowjobs within that context. Probably. I'm not saying I'm too good for a blowjob. I'm saying I've just never felt the pressure.
Yeah.
And I also, you did bring up a good point. I was really popular.
Yeah.
And like that is another imprint.
Like you had power over men.
And
social power.
I can't talk enough about being tall.
Yeah.
I don't think that's discussed enough. I'm never looking up to a man. I'm only looking down or across. Like it's very rare that I get this like and you know what? The one guy that was taller than me, who was my boyfriend, he made me do things I do not do with other men.
Interesting.
I was much more like docile with him. He convinced me to do things I don't do.
Yeah.
He was a convincer. Also a Capricorn.
Well, and then it's like
the Capricorn together.
Capricorn
he was
men.
the only one. But see, this is the thing is I did not like that.
Yeah.
I did not like the feeling I felt of looking up to this man who was convincing me to do things I didn't want to do.
I understand. I do understand. And yes.
Yeah. So this was the orgasm episode.
I feel a little uneasy.
Like, because we've said too much or not enough?
Both. Somehow both.
Somehow
I told you guys way too many things and I said nothing and I'm embarrassed and I'm leaving this episode with crippling shame and anxiety.
But we'll make the video about how to orgasm. And I think that's important. I think it's important to share that information.
But how boring would it be if we were like, we're gonna come on and talk about our orgasms and our relationship to sex and we're so liberated and it's like so easy for us. I'm like, this is not easy for me. This is horrible. I'm sweating. My legs hurt. I haven't taken my cacao shit yet. Like, I am a mess. I hate this. I hated this whole experience. I hated everything I told you.
But I think that's good. I think that's real. It's not what people expected, but it's what they needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. Gnarly. Oh, it wouldn't be gnarly if we didn't get gnarly.
Why do we choose this as our brand?
Support, because it's who we are.
Because it's honest.
Yeah.
But this is who we are.
Yeah. Support the Patreon.
Support the Patreon.
But truly go to the Patreon. You're going to learn how to orgasm.
Yes, and we have upcoming shows at Soho Playhouse in New York City, April 10th, 11th, and 12th. We have a somatic healing and ecstatic embodiment portal workshop at Daya Yoga in Bushwick, Brooklyn on April 13th. And turns out going into my business voice does help me feel better.
Yeah.
I'm feeling better already.
And if you're listening to this after that,
well,
we will always be updating the website about shows and workshops.
Yes, we will. It's true.
Okay.
Oh, fucking A.
Yeah, good job. We did it.
I hated that. Did I reveal too many things?